What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock, what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow based off what the charts are showing and based off what my price prediction is. I'm also going to talk about the markets are basically showing based off what Jerome Powell said and the markets are suggesting, and also what the data is suggesting for NIO before I ended this video by talking about what NIO put on their Twitter page. That's once again very, very bullish news for the long-term future. Now, before I break any of this down, before I get into any more details about what's going on with NIO, I do have to mention a couple of things real quick. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Don't take any of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, but benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the WeBull link down below and into the description. If you sign up for WeBull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed 6 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And you could always sell these 6 free stocks for cash and use that cash to buy some NIO shares for free in this limited time offer that ends in just 6 days. So please check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So looking at NIO, we're up about 2.75% for the day. We actually held up pretty well today. Got a nice push into the last couple of hours, and you can see NIO actually managed to close where this upper resistance range is. So the question is, what's going to happen to NIO? Well, right now NIO is kind of correlated with the S&P 500 or the SPY, which are essentially the same. So what's happening to the SPY is we're getting this really, really nice push, and we actually closed very, very close to where that key resistance level is. Now, some people may look at this as something that's a little bit concerning because from the way I see it, right, we weren't able to break past this 378 level for quite a bit of time. If you actually zoom out like right over here, you can see we've been holding this 378 level for a very, very long time. It's been tricky for us to break out of it. So if we break out of it going into tomorrow, the next key zone would be that 380. But as of right now, we haven't had that confirmation just yet. Now, what else is very interesting is many analysts are talking about how you shouldn't really trust the S&P 500 until it's above 3,800. So once again, that 380 for the SPY. And if you don't understand this, the SPY just tracks the S&P 500. It's going to be 10 times less in terms of share price. And it's just an easier way for the options chain and other traders to really track it. But anyways, when it comes to the SPY, one of the things that's important about it is when this thing starts to break out, or if it really does, is what we have to look out for. Now, what's interesting is when we zoom out and go back to the dailies, we could see somewhere over here that the SPY has that gap that it hasn't necessarily filled completely just yet. Now, we had that nice push up right here above it, but this gap could take the SPY all the way up to that 390 level. So we haven't necessarily gotten there just yet, and there isn't confirmation of us getting there until we break past 380. So that's what you need to look out for. But right now, from how I'm seeing it, we haven't been able to break 380 for a long time. And unless we get a very big volume push, we should be able to, but I'm not seeing that just yet. It looks more like we close very close to the top resistance level, and it's very probable we're actually going to see some downside pressure going into tomorrow. And I say that because the market might actually get kind of dragged back just a little bit, because when you look at the SPY's max pain, we're seeing these overwhelming amounts of puts. There tend to be more puts that are out of the money than calls. It doesn't matter that much because max pain is at 376, but it definitely will play a bit of a role. So max pain is that 376 level. This is where institutions may be trying to take the SPY and the NASDAQ, not the NASDAQ, but the whole market into the red is what I'm trying to say. And as a result of that, it may actually bring down the market just slightly because NIO's max pain happens to be at $21 as well. And there's this overwhelming amount of puts that are out of the money. So the market makers, the shorts, they might actually try to push NIO down a little bit if that is the case that ends up happening. So from what I'm seeing right now in the markets, I think that as long as the SPY holds these like key levels, I mean 370 was our key zone, we bounced off that, so I want to see this thing hold above 373, but I'm anticipating this thing actually dropping a little bit and seeing some choppy price action. And I do think we're going to close a little bit red for SPY, maybe closer to that 376 level, which is where max pain is. And as a result of that, for NIO, I think it's going to be a very similar story, because when you look at NIO over the last few days, we had that key resistance zone in that 23.2 level range, And we've been kind of holding above that for the last couple of days. Let me actually bring up, let me see the 15-minute candles, for instance. You could see, if I zoom in, since the 21st, since NIO actually pushed up into this upper range, 23.2 has been holding us up for a long time. We could see near the end of the day we pushed up very close to it, but we didn't break it. So it's like, okay, if the SPY breaks out of 380 and starts pushing up, which is possible, very possible, but I just think it's a little bit less likely since we haven't seen the confirmation of it just yet. It's also a Friday and max pain is lower than where the share price currently is. If we somehow do that, NIO is going to push up to that 24 level. It's going to have a breakout, in my opinion, all the way up to 24 bucks. Do I think that's going to happen? It's possible, but I see that as less likely. I think we're still trading in this range, and it looks to me like we're going to get a rejection. We're going to turn red and maybe try to hold above that $22.2 level. I see us kind of trading sideways in this range for just another couple of hours tomorrow before next week may be the time. If the SPY does have that breakout, NIO is probably going to follow from there. So from my perspective, look at the pattern that NIO is forming. And I can actually draw this out for you. So NIO is doing this. We broke out on the 21st of June, and we were essentially just trading in this range. Look, you could see we kind of broke out of it for a few seconds, back up to that resistance at 23.2, back down, back up, and we're just going back and forth and back and forth. And we closed today directly at the top. So some might say it's an indication we're about to break out. I just don't see that just yet. But what could happen is we kind of test this low phase again, and we kind of trade like this upward direction. We might close a little bit red around 23, but the interesting is the max pain is all the way down to that 21 range. So I do think, going back to the options chain, I do think the market makers are going to try to push NIO a little bit lower. So NIO might actually get pushed down just a little bit going into closing. It might close around that $22.2 level, maybe a little lower. So my sentiment's a little bit on the bearish side, but going into next week, it's very possible we get a nice bounce and actually start to push up even more. From a more technical standpoint, if we look at the RSI, MACD, and I like to use the EMAs as well, what we're noticing that's interesting is, let me pull up the 2-hour chart. You'll notice that NIO has been pushing up in this upward trend, all right? But right now in the 2-hour time frame, we're starting to see it slow down a bit. MACD is kind of curling, and it does look like we're kind of losing some momentum to really continue pushing up. So it does look like we might get this crossover from the MACD and the signal line. We are a little bit overbought on the RSI. So I would like to see the RSI just cool off a little bit. I want NIO to just take a breather, okay? We haven't got that 1348 EMA crossover yet. I just want NIO to just breathe a little bit going into tomorrow. That's totally fine. And I'm anticipating it actually dropping, maybe testing the 22 range. We may even close around the low 22s. Very, very possible, very healthy. Nothing to be worried about whatsoever. So I do think we may see a bit of a red day. Now, when it comes to the overall market, right, not in the perfect of positions. During his committee hearing, we could see that during his testimony, Jerome Powell said that he's going to fight inflation. He's going to work hard to do it. He has an unconditional bid to do it, but it could even lead to more job losses, which is typically what happens during these recessions, right? So it goes to show, right, the market's not in the perfect condition. Short term in July, depending on what the data shows, we could see some bearish price action. It's that simple. Am I guaranteeing that? No, it depends on the data, but for NIO, it will have an effect on it. Now, short term, I think NIO is holding up very well, and I would like to see how this performs going into next week, but it's becoming a lot more correlated with that of the SPY. The SPY starts dropping hard, NIO is going to follow it, right? The SPY, the NASDAQ, the overall market. But if it starts pushing up, if the SPY has a breakout and the market starts pushing, NIO is going to push up with it and it will be back in the 24s. We don't know that just yet. We'll have to wait until next week. But right now, I am anticipating some downside for NIO for tomorrow specifically. So be prepared for that. If that isn't the case, if this thing starts pushing up, right? Remember, 24 is the next like super, super key zone. But in essence, right, what I'm trying to talk about is how if it starts dropping even harder, look out for that 22.3 level, 22.2, and also the 21. So very, very key zones. NIO did get a nice bounce off that 13 EMA. Hopefully it holds, but to me, it does look a little bit more on the bearish side. So that's essentially what I'm anticipating. Despite that, long term, I'm still very, very bullish. And I also want to talk about this right here. NIO has mentioned that their innovative ternary iron lithium battery pack can improve cold weather performances and also more accurately measure the state of charge and increase energy density. So, once again, very, very nice battery packs. I love how they're able to just swap them. Very convenient, and people, especially in China and Europe, will love it. So, long term, I'm still incredibly bullish. I think NIO is going to recover soon. Do I think we're ready to recover just now? And I don't think we're there just yet. I do see some potential downside in the next couple of months if the data suggests that. But long term, by next year, years beyond, I'm still very, very bullish. So I have not lost faith in this company. This is a good period to buy those shares and accumulate and just stay strong. With that out of the way, thank you for listening. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. NIO to the moon, and peace out.